Let's see what's in store.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers.
Hi, Jonathan
Game
Rogers.
Director on Path of Exile 2. Welcome to GGG Live.
Thanks.
Well, it's been a little over 3 months since we launched Early Access, so it's about time for our first major content update. Today, we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt,
It's actually been
which
4
launches
months.
on April 4th. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so make sure you follow the instructions below in order to claim your Executioner's Guillotine finisher effect. Now, in today's stream, we're going to take you on a deep dive into the new Dawn of the Hunt update.
What's up, Pio?
We'll cover a new class, 5 new Ascendancy classes,
One new
and
class,
huge expansions on
unfortunately.
character systems like unique items and support gems. After that, it's on to the in-game improvements, including changes to systems, a bunch of new encounters, and lots of other content. We're going to finish up today with a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile 2's game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. Now, we have a lot to cover today, so let's get started with a trailer for Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt.
Woo!
We as Mary are guided by the Spirit. It provides prayer,
Is that a new campaign
shelter,
zone that we'll see later?
even love. But for me, one day, all that were changed. The Spirit, it showed me something.
That's a
Something
wisp, not a spirit. Thank you very
forbidden.
much.
And to defend all I loved, I used it. I lost everything that day. But fate weren't finished with me yet.
Bro.
I'll right the wrongs I've done.
She had
I'll
gems and
do
she just got
what
caught
I
like that?
must, no matter the cost. I will hear the Spirit once more.
Making a blacksmith? Wait, is that one of the classes? Yo, the roll. I actually forgot about that. Orbital laser. What? Ah, yes. Rogue Exiles. How I missed them. Yo, 100 plus. What the fuck? Oh yeah, look at that. That looked like a blacksmith. Beyond bosses? Calandra? Crucible? No way, dude. There's no way they're bringing back Crucible, right? April 4th. Thursday or Friday?
Now, as you can see, in Dawn of the Hunt, we're introducing the first new class since early access to PoE2, the Huntress. The Huntress is a spear-wielding Asmeri warrior. Born into a society with strict traditions, she was exiled from her homeland after using the power of a skill gem to defend her village. As a dexterous
It's
spear
Friday.
user, she specializes in both melee and ranged combat, dashing into and out of battle.
That looked pretty sick.
Spears have extended range
Solid
and a
trail.
short dash, but unlike other melee weapons, you can also throw them.
Yay.
In order to make a hybrid ranged and melee character work, we had to do a lot of thinking about ways to make it fun to both enter and exit melee range.
Big
The
thought.
first skill you will get as a Huntress is Whirling Slash.
Hell yeah.
As well as striking in a circle around you, this skill creates a whirlwind that blinds your enemies. Leaving the
I want to
whirlwind
see
will make
what
it
the
explode.
endgame mechanics are they're
The
adding.
more Whirling Slash is used, the bigger the whirlwind, and the bigger the explosion. Once you're out of there, you'll want to follow up with something ranged. Whip your spear around to shoot twisters towards your foes. These twisters bounce off walls and can hit enemies multiple times. You can also throw twisters inside
Also,
a
what's up,
whirlwind
John? How you
to
doing?
shoot out extra tornadoes that do way more damage. In her offhand, the Huntress will usually want to hold a buckler, which allows you to
What
do
about
a new
two
skill,
spears?
parry.
Hear me
While
out.
holding down parry, your character will counterattack any incoming attack from monsters near you, stunning them.
Doing pretty good.
In addition, the monsters will take extra attack damage from your follow-up strike. Some specific skills are designed to be used after a parry and have extra effects. Disengage is a skill that does a quick jump back, damaging enemies in front of you, and it can be used to interrupt other actions, like dodge roll. If you use it against a parried enemy though, it causes an explosion and gives you a frenzy charge.
I intend to never use parry if I play this class.
Just be careful. If you parry too much, you're going to get stunned and possibly killed.
Yeah,
You
it
can
sounds kind
combine
of
this
annoying.
combo with whirling slash. Slash, parry, disengage, and you'll get an explosion from the disengage and the whirling slash. The Huntress also has a variety of elemental spear throw attacks. You could
That's
use
what I'm
lightning
really after. I
spears
just want to
fast
yeet
lightning
that shit.
between your foes. Or you could throw explosive spears into the ground. These spears take a while to detonate, but when they do, they'll incinerate anyone caught in the blast. All spear throws on the Huntress can also be empowered by frenzy charges. For example, explosive spears will do an even larger explosion and leave fire on the ground. And these empowered versions can activate even more combos. Using whirling slash over ground fire will suck it into the
Whoa.
whirlwind, adding fire to the explosion. Using twisters inside a fire whirlwind will shoot out fire tornadoes as well.
He just said shit out fire.
And you can do similar combos
Bro,
with
this is the
ice
marketing. You can't say that.
and lightning too. Now, a key aspect of hunting is exhausting your foes by causing blood loss. This skill is Rake, which dashes towards your target and unleashes a deadly
That
slash.
sounds
opening out
like
wounds
it
on
should
your
be a
enemies.
druid spell. That's all
Follow
I'm
up with
saying.
Disengage and watch them bleed out as they run towards you. On the health bar of monsters, you can see how much blood loss the enemy has experienced.
Oh yeah, I'll be playing.
And the
too.
Huntress
I
has
guess it
skills
kind of
to take
depends on the
advantage
others.
of
Then it sees like if there's something
For
more
example,
exciting.
using Blood Hunt will thrust forward and cause a bloody explosion. The more blood loss, the bigger the explosion. If you want to cause bigger bleeds, try out Rapid Assault. The final hit of this multi-hit combo will stick a spear into your enemy for a big bleed. Now, Explosive Spear and Rapid Assault both result in leaving spears behind, either in the ground or in enemies. But there are other skills that leave spears around too, like Storm Lance, that leaves an electrical spear that arcs towards enemies. But
Oh.
what can you do with all these spears? Detonate them, of course. Thunderous Leap will allow you to jump onto and explode any spears either in the ground or in your enemies. Now, as well as hunting animals, the Huntress also has the ability to work with them. While fighting any beast, you have the ability
I
to
thought we were
tame
getting
it and
Einhard
use it
for a
as
second.
companion. You can only have one companion at a time, but it will keep the mods that were on it. Try to find a rare
Bro.
beast with good mods to take full advantage of your ability to tame them.
Is this what how we get specters? Because that's what this sounds
Now,
like.
this is just the beginning of the Huntress. We've really tried to make the hybrid ranged and melee gameplay work for this class by having a huge amount of synergy between ranged and melee options. There are 22 new skills available for the Huntress. By endgame, you'll be slinging hundreds of insanely powerful spears, sending forth spirit animals and summoning the might of Solaris from the sky. But we still haven't talked about ascendancy classes yet. What
That's
can the
right.
Huntress ascend into? Well, the first ascension class you could choose is the Ritualist. The
All right.
Ritualist has embraced the darker side of his merry traditions by harnessing the power of animal sacrifice and plague. The Corrupted Life Force skill causes all enemies around you to grow volatile blood boils on their skin.
Yui.
When those enemies are slain, the boils will burst, spreading corrupted blood to all enemies around them. The Ritualist also excels in taking advantage of magical trinkets. The Unfurled Finger skill allows you to
What?
equip an additional ring on a finger around your neck. Taking Mystic Attunement increases the bonuses of all the rings and amulets you have equipped. Now this is
That
one
sounds
of my
illegal.
favorites. As the Whispers Ask grants you a new skill, Ritual Sacrifice. Use the skill on the corpses of slain rare monsters to absorb the power in their blood, to give you one of their modifiers for a short time.
He just got 4 modifiers from that monster.
Specialize further into Ritualistic Sacrifice with As the Whispers Demand, which allows you to perform that skill on yourself instead of a corpse.
What?
Cut your own hand, sacrificing some of your own blood to empower yourself.
Oh, you just get a random one. Okay.
The Amazon Ascension is for those looking to hunt more than just beasts. Trained as an elite guard to the most important Asmeri elders, the Amazon will
Suppose
use
we
more
shouldn't be
traditional
surprised
fighting
this is one of
techniques
the
mastered to
ascendancies.
perfection. The Predatory Instinct skill will cause you to reveal weaknesses in the defenses of rare and unique enemies, causing you to deal more damage. You can see those weak spots represented on their life bars. While using elemental
That's my
infusion,
girl, right?
any charges you consume will infuse your weapon with elemental power, causing
What we've
any
all been
projectile
waiting for.
attacks to explode on impact. The Critical Strike skill is as simple as it sounds. It takes your excess accuracy and gives it to you as critical strike chance.
Oh, interesting.
Additionally, you have skills like Mystic Harvest, which allows your elemental damage to leech life, and as Merry Brew to be able to use either flask to restore both life and mana.
That's
so
nifty.
those are the 2 new ascendancies for the Huntress, but those are not the only ascendancies in Dawn of the Hunt.
Tell me
We've
more,
added a new
Jonathan.
ascension class for 3 of the other existing classes too. First up, for our warriors out there, we have the Smith of Katava. The warrior is a blacksmith in origin, taught by his father Renly. With this ascension, you can take your smithing skills to
Yo,
new
you
heights
just
by
whip out an
embracing
anvil.
power from the insatiable one himself, Kitava. Smiths of Katava
Yo,
are
what is
master
all that?
blacksmiths and have the ability to forge their weapon, quite literally. Using
Yeah.
the Against the Anvil notable skill, you can enhance your weapon with fiery destruction before any battle. After doing so, your attacks will release explosions on hit for maximum devastation.
It's
You
kind of
can
like
also use
sharpening
the power
weapons
of
in Monster
Kitava
Hunter,
to
isn't
summon
it?
an animated copy of your weapon to fight alongside you. A great blacksmith can do more than just forging their weapon, though. Their armor can be enhanced too. Now, you might think this ascendancy class tree looks a little abnormal, and you're
Slightly,
right.
slightly.
There's a lot of notable skills all disconnected at the bottom there. By taking this point here, which is free to assign, your character is unable to equip body armors with mods of any kind. So your body armor must be normal. Sounds like a downside, right? Except now in true blacksmith fashion, you get to craft your own body armor by taking those disconnected notables with your points.
Can
If
you
you
have
want your
all,
body
like,
armor to grant life,
I guess
take this notable.
7 of them?
If you want resistances, take this one. There's so
Damn.
many choices. Think of it like you're crafting your own body armor, just in a more literal sense. Now, let's move on to those who prefer the reassuring feel of a crossbow in their hands, the
It
mercenary.
is me.
Alongside the existing Ascension classes, the Gemling Legionnaire and the Witch Hunter, you can now play as the Tactician. The Tactician is a former Blackguard elite. Free from the duties of a Blackguard, he is able to use his training
That was
to
a lot of arrows.
decimate the monsters of Rayclast and earn a healthy income doing so. This training comes in the form of various skills like Suppressing Fire, which causes all projectiles to pin enemies.
That's
When
actually kind of sick.
combined with the right where we want them notable, your pin not only stops your enemies from moving, but stops them from performing actions too.
So
Similar
it's
to
kind of
freeze.
like a stun. Yeah,
With the
freeze.
soldier's training, the Tactician also works well cooperatively. Using the Whoever Pays Best notable, you can place multiple banners at once. The Watch How We Do It skill gives a portion of your weapon's damage to your allies as well. But if that isn't enough, you can also command your army of off-screen archers to unleash hell
Oh, yeah.
and carpet an entire area with arrows.
My army's here. They're just off screen
Finally,
smiling.
Witch players will be able to join their legions
Yo,
by
that's sick
becoming
art.
undead themselves. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're introducing the Lich Ascension class. The Lich is a master of chaos and curses and could sacrifice her life to enhance her energy shield. The Crystalline Phylactery skill allows you to nominate a jewel in which to contain part of your soul, massively increasing its power. There's just one
Ooh.
downside to splitting your soul this way, though. If you have no energy shield, your mana costs will shoot up. The Necromantic Conduit
Just
skill
use
causes
CI.
you and allies in your presence to have unholy might, granting extra damage as chaos damage. Rupture the Soul makes enemies you curse explode with chaos damage when slain. Dominion over Flesh allows you to apply an additional curse.
Sounds familiar.
It's safe to say you'll be the true master of the occult by choosing the Lich class.
Yeah, blacksmith
So Dawn of
looked
the Hunt has
pretty
the
neat.
Huntress and 5 new Ascension classes, but it doesn't end there. Let's take a look
There's
at some of the
more?
new skills we've added. Now, you may remember we previously talked about the Raise Spectre skill.
I know
It's
that
finally complete,
ritualist
and will be made
looked
available
really
in the
sick.
upcoming expansion. It can be found in the occult skills on the skill gem crafting panel.
Oh no, there's
Raise
actual
Spectre is a
specters.
skill that
Okay,
allows you to trap the soul of almost any monster in the game.
that's actually huge. I thought
Which you
it
can
was
then
just going
summon
to be
in
the
the skill
huntress
panel.
that could do it.
Spectres cost spirit and will revive automatically if they die, but the spirit cost
I'm a
varies. based
prophet,
on
by the way.
power
What
of
did I
the
do?
monster. You could summon an army of weaker monsters,
Was it the specters thing?
or a few of the more powerful monsters. You can combine them with your existing skeleton minions, or summon exclusively specters. It's all up to you and how you want to customize your army of the undead.
Yo, yoinking those fucking
Given
cannon
that there are
dudes?
hundreds upon hundreds of monster variants
That
in
would
Path
be
of
huge.
Exile 2, it's safe to say you'll be experimenting with this one for a while. We look forward to seeing which monsters serve you best.
Honestly, there's a non-zero chance
let's
the
move
reason
on to
we
our
didn't
next
get
skill.
Druid is because they put
Since we've been
specters.
talking about summoning undead
I wonder
so
how much balance that
let's have
took.
a change of pace and
Or if
summon
they
something a
didn't.
little more alive. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding the Summon Rower skill. Summon your friendly rower to aid you in combat as a minion.
Does it give move speed?
You can also mount your rower in combat at any time, allowing you to move at full speed even while shooting arrows or throwing
okay.
spears.
Kind of.
Be wary though, if you take too much damage while riding your mount, you can be knocked off and get overwhelmed. It's worth keeping
Yo,
an
actually,
eye
the
on your
art
stagger bar, as falling off the
on,
mount can mean almost certain death. On the topic of new ways to enhance
Hold
your
up.
character, let's talk about support. Now let's move on to our next skill.
Yes.
Since we've been talking about summoning undead so much, let's have a change of pace and summon something a little more alive. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding the Summon Rower skill.
Go to the next cut.
Summon your friendly rower to aid you in combat as a
I mean, the
minion.
next one.
You can also mount your rower in combat at any time, allowing you to move at full speed even while shooting arrows or throwing spears. Be wary.
Yo, look at that. Look at the flasks. When you're using that the thing that makes life flasks heal mana and mana flasks heal life, the flasks both have like red and blue in them. It's kind of sick.
If you take too much damage while riding your mount, you can be knocked off and get overwhelmed. It's worth keeping an eye on your stagger bar, as falling off the mount can mean almost certain death. On the topic of new ways to enhance your character, let's talk about support gems.
Yo,
Support
what's up,
gems are
relax?
used to
I
modify
saw
your
something
skill
else.
at any time. Stagger bar, as falling off the mount can mean almost certain death.
Since we're talking about details, yo, Y3465, thanks for that follow. 6x map portals remaining. Interesting.
On the topic of new ways to enhance your character, let's talk about support gems. Support gems are used to modify your skill gems in meaningful and interesting ways. Currently, we feel that a lot of builds have insufficient
what the fuck?
options here. To alleviate this, we're adding over 100 new support gems. Hema crystals will enable a new kind of bleed build, turning the damage over time you would have done into explosive Vile crystals. Alignment is a support gem for bow attacks, which can reward skilled players with good positional skills. Caltrops will allow you to litter the battlefield with hazards, slowing your foes as you fling spears through their ranks. But there's plenty more for every playstyle, such as Enormity, Unsteady
Enormity.
Tempo, Profanity,
That's me.
Retaliate,
Oh, we're bringing these back. Oh, whoa. Okay,
Syzygy.
that's not what I thought it
Yep,
was.
that's a real word,
Is it really? Was it Polish?
and many more. Now, we've talked about a new class, new ascendancy classes, new skills, and new support gems. But let's not forget about the core of a true action RPG, the items. To start with, let's talk about uniques. We're adding over 100 new unique items. This time, we've made sure to add uniques with a focus on mid and end-game tiers to make sure there are more exciting items to find for higher-level characters.
Thank God.
Let's look at some examples.
Having only low-level bases
Embrace
with
your inner devil with
stuff
Chernobog's
was very
Pillar.
sad. Oh, they
It
brought
grants
that
you a
back.
large amount of fire damage based on your block chance. The Coming Calamity allows you to become a true master of the elements, granting you all 3 Elemental Herald skills without costing any spirit.
Well,
At the same
none?
time, it penalizes enemy resistances.
Kind of bonkers.
Wastegate is a belt useful for builds using a single resource like Blood Magic or Archmage builds. With this belt, you can use 2 life flasks or 2 mana flasks. It's up to you. Now, we could go through these all day, but we'll leave most of them for you to discover. Suffice to say, though, we want
Yeah, I
there to
have-
be
I
way
have
more
no
cool
idea.
things to find. Over time, our goal is to add a unique to every single base item type at a minimum, so that you can chance any base in the game. Now, given that we have the Huntress, we have a set of unique spears from early game all the way through the end game as well. One example is Scyther's Spear, which combines bleed
Aggravates
and fire in a
ignites,
powerful
too.
way. It allows your ignites to be aggravated, dealing substantially more damage. We're also introducing a suite of unique bucklers with some interesting parry mechanics.
Buckler? I barely
Gaia's
know her.
Arc, for example, allows you to parry projectiles from any distance. And we're also adding our first unique charms. Bayra's Anguish will not only protect you from Ignite, but will also emit a devastating Fire Nova whenever you do get Ignited. In sum, there's just a ton of new uniques to find. We can't wait to see the weird and broken builds that come out of it. Now, we also want to talk about crafting options. In each major
It's very
update during
important.
early access, we'll be continuing to add and improve the options here. We have various new crafting tools that have been added as rewards to many of the different types of new content that we're adding. But for now, I just want to mention the changes to runes. Runes add commonly available mods, but since they only have one tier, flat damage mods tend to get outclassed by in-game. So we've changed runes to have multiple tiers, allowing you to get higher tier mods than before.
Alright, that's a
Our
little
plan
interesting.
is to significantly expand the number of more specialized mods for crafting using socketables as we add new content over time.
Now,
And
can
the
we get a
first new set of
socketable
those comes from
tab,
what we're
please?
talking about next.
That's kind of
In Dawn
a
of the Hunt,
concern
we're
there.
adding Asmarian Wisps, which can be found throughout both the campaign and the endgame. The Asmari spirit has made itself present in Rayclast, and it appears to be trying to warn, or maybe prepare us for the coming darkness. You will first encounter a manifestation of it in the Grellwood in Act 1, where you'll meet Delwyn, an Asmari hunter who is trying to find out what exactly is causing the spirit to behave this way. As you approach the wisp, it will flee, leading you past monsters. Any monsters
Feel
it
bear
comes into
touch.
contact with are infused by it, making them more powerful. Each spirit is associated with a specific revered animal within Asmari culture. This one is a wisp of the Great Bear, and
Torment,
grants enemies
is that
extra
you?
life and stun. The wisp moves faster the closer you are, and as you move away, they slow down to wait for you. But if you get too far away for too long, they'll dissipate and return to the woods. As you continue to chase the wisp, it will find and possess a rare or unique monster,
Yeah,
granting
it's
it a new
Torment.
powerful ability. Because this was a wisp of the Great Bear, this monster now also has increased life and stun. But on top of that, it will periodically summon a large spectral bear that slams with wild fury. If you're able to defeat this foe, you will be rewarded. For each monster that was infused and killed along the way, the rewards will be increased. Each wisp has its own mechanics. The
Hopefully
wisp
none
the
of them
Winter
have corpse
Owl is a
explode.
primal
If
wisp
they don't,
that causes
I'll be
enemies to
totally
deal
fine with
extra
it.
cold damage, gain energy shield, and release wind vortices on death. When infusing a monster, they will call down large tornadoes to protect their host. The
I can
Wisp of
already hear the
Wild
complaints
Cat
about that
is
one.
a vivid wisp that causes affected monsters to deal more critical strikes and become more evasive. When it infuses a monster, it will summon a barrage of feline spirits that will attempt to tear you limb from limb. If you're lucky, you may even find sacred wisps that can do some pretty crazy things to the monsters they influence. Like the Wisp of the Cunning Fox, which turns normal monsters into magics,
Oh,
magic monsters into rares, and rare monsters into actual bosses.
what would be the worst boss you could have
Asmarian
walk up
wisps
on you
can
like
drop a
that?
new set of socketable items that allow you
monkey?
to craft a wide range of interesting new mods onto your items. Each one may only be used on a specific item slot. As mentioned, the Asmarian Wisps can be encountered throughout the game, but there's also a new endgame map called the Asmari Ranges, a mountain village where the Asmari once lived, now overrun with corrupt monsters.
Surely that's going to be a
This map
campaign
always
zone,
has
right?
multiple Asmarian Wisps in it, and familiar, yet not quite the same boss fight. Asmarian
Double?
Wisps can also be further modified by the endgame Atlas tree as well, and by tablets.
Oh.
But I'm not going to be the one talking about those things. In order to cover all the new content in in-game, I'm going to hand things over to Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game
Hi,
Director
Mark.
on Path of Exile 2. There's
Oh, hi,
a
Mark.
ton to talk about with the endgame today, so let's dig right in. Path of Exile 2's early access began with a brand new endgame, and it was clear that it needed a lot of work.
I still think the map is
After
cool.
absorbing your feedback, we're ready to make some epic changes.
Epic.
The first thing is, we just need a lot more content.
That's right.
In Dawn of the Hunt, we have made sure to focus on increasing the sheer number of interesting and different encounters you will randomly stumble into as you explore the
Hey, oh, you
endgame.
can see the map objectives
And the
on the
second
top.
goal is to
up
smoothen
there.
the progression through maps
kinda neat.
and reduce the amount of annoying busy work. To start with, let's talk about the new interesting stuff to find. Well, the most obvious thing to add are new maps. As well as
Yo, a
the
boat.
Asmari ranges that Jonathan mentioned earlier, Dawn of the Hunt also contains 7 other new maps,
Okay.
all with their own custom encounters. Let's start with this one.
The Feral Megaliths map starts off in the wild Ezomite forests. As you progress through the forest, you will find mysterious rune-carved stones that, when touched, surge with energy. After activating
This sounds
all the
like
stones,
levers.
you can find a grand henge, where all the energy is coalescing. You can then start an encounter. The area darkens, a storm moves in, and a concentration of energy summons a dangerous boss.
Bro, we need
You must
more of
fight
these
and defeat the boss to get its rewards.
more of these orbital lasers.
Once
I'm
you
all
have
about
defeated
that.
it, summon another.
This update happens April 4th,
And another.
12 p.m.
And another.
Pacific time. So
And another.
1 week and 1
you
day.
have 10
from
total
today.
waves of boss fights which get incrementally more difficult. If you manage to defeat them, you get full boss rewards, but also opportunities to get new runes. These can only be obtained from this map. The Fractured Lake contains a surreal waterscape
Oh, so
with
this is just a
fractured
map.
mirror-like objects. As you move around the map, the terrain itself elevates from below, creating the ground you walk on. In this unique map, all the rare monsters are mirrored, so you're always fighting two of the same rare at the same time, which can prove quite difficult. If you manage
Oh,
to
yeah, no
overcome
problem.
that challenge and make it to the end of the map, you'll be presented with a broken mirror, a powerful altar-like object that contains an item within it. The item
Hey, yo, it's
contained
not
within
mirrored?
is a new base type, either an amulet or a ring, that can be
Bro.
crafted to have additional prefixes or suffixes at the cost
We
of the
just
other.
have simplex
The last
amulets,
unique
I guess.
map we'll show today
Sick.
is one based around the essence mechanic.
Although I think that
You
had
enter a
increased
crystalline cavern, and you will find a
increased
powerful map
effective
boss
modifiers on
imprisoned
it
in the
too.
center. It is surrounded by many rare monsters, also imprisoned in essences. By freeing and defeating the rare monsters, the essence they held will be upgraded to a greater essence and be added to the imprisoned map boss. How brave are you?
Oh,
How many essences
I
will you
see.
add to the boss? Overdo it, and you might lose everything. Underdo it, and you might regret it. It's your choice. Speaking of essences, alongside visual improvements, you're now able to apply Varlorbs to corrupt the essences with a range of unpredictable outcomes. It could increase the number of essences, re-roll all the essences to the same type,
okay.
or even upgrade the essences to greater essences.
Huge.
What if they're
Huge.
already greater essences? Well, it can upgrade
Even
those too.
greater
We have
essences?
4 new corrupted essences. Essence of Hysteria, Delirium, Horror, and Insanity.
Insanity's
Each
nuts.
corrupted essence has its own interesting combat mechanics. For example, the essence of Insanity causes you to question even your own mind, as monsters split into shadowy clones, and you must locate the real one before a devastating icy explosion freezes everything around it. Each of these has their own crafting outcomes. The essence of Insanity can be applied to a belt. It adds a mod that will ensure the next Varlorb used on the belt will guarantee adding 2 enchantments.
That's kind of sick. Kind of insane, actually.
It's worth noting all the essences in the unique map
But
can
your
also be corrupted
belt
too.
could only have 5
If
mods
you're
at that
willing to
point.
risk it. It's worth noting we have also added 10 extra Atlas passive points you can earn by completing 5 different unique maps.
Hell yeah.
Now, new maps are just the beginning. We had a goal where we wanted to make sure you were constantly finding exciting new content, and that it could be lurking around any corner. So, we have added
I also
a
really
bunch of
like
new
that
things
they
you
use
could
that
stumble
regular
into
Valors
in
for
any
the,
map you
the
run.
essences.
On your travels, you will sometimes encounter rogue exiles. Others like you who have been exiled and are openly hostile.
Adrian!
Some are malicious, some are mad, while others are simply fiends for loot. They will challenge you, a fight to the death.
PvP in my Path of
They use the
Exile
same
too?
skills available to players, and even the same items. They aren't just dressed up in those items, they're actually using them. It's going to feel like a true player versus player situation. Of course, if you are able to slay these
Oh, they tell you
exiles,
which
those
uniques they
items
have?
will all drop on the ground.
Maybe
So
essences
if you
will be useful
encounter
now,
an exile
right?
using a
You kind of
powerful
need
or valuable unique
bulk
item,
for essences
which you
with
can
the way
see
they work
displayed
right
under
now.
their life bar,
I mean, even in
you
Path
want
of
to be
Exile
damn
1,
sure
the way
you
they
kill
work.
them.
Still need both.
Because if they kill you and your party, they'll portal out, taking their items with them. Every fight will feel completely different
Doses.
depending on the items
We're
they
out.
come equipped with. These
Good
exiles
goodness.
are much smarter than your regular monster. They have capabilities to dodge roll, avoid your abilities with smart
Couture of
pathfinding,
Crimson?
smart
Haven't even heard of
targeting,
that one.
and much more action-packed gameplay. Fortunately, they're like you, and they're not super durable. Unless, of course, they're wearing uniques like Calm's Heart, in which case, expect a longer battle. There are 12 different rogue exiles you can find, each with their own skills and personalities.
I wonder if they're going to let people
Some may
put their own
insult you,
exiles in.
while others may admire your honor in combat.
Another encounter you might stumble onto in Dawn of the Hunt are one of 4 new unique strongboxes.
Strongboxes are chests with modifiers. When you try to open them, they activate traps and spawn waves of monsters that you must defeat.
I don't see
to
fog
access the
around
loot.
that strongbox.
Let's take a look at 2 of the new unique
Also
boxes that
huge.
are harder to find and behave just a little bit differently. The Ogham's Legacy Strongbox has a corpse splayed out in front of the rune-carved stone. Upon interacting with the stone, you activate Forbidden Ezomite magic, which revives the monster as a powerful rare. The Strongbox comes with a modifier which determines how many times it will revive that rare. Each time you defeat the monstrosity, the Strongbox revives it again, adding an extra modifier to the monster. With each resurrection, it becomes more difficult, but also more rewarding.
I didn't see how many mods it had at
This
first.
Strongbox is infused with thaumaturgy from ancient Phal technology. Eshel's Torment has a powerful artifact inside, and is guarded by chaos itself. Defeating the monsters will grant you a unique item, with a specific corrupted outcome. You'll have to find the other 2 for yourself to
Yo,
see what they do.
they put the beetle in maps.
Now, let's talk about the introduction to the endgame. Upon starting the endgame, Doriani tasks you with cleansing corruption to help restore the land. However, in practice, the quest objective just sent you on a grind to clear 15 maps. We wanted to make the quest to unlock your Atlas passives
Is that not what
much
we're here
more
for?
interesting.
Now, Doriani is tasking you with a more specific objective. On the Atlas, you will find areas of corruption caused by the beast. In the center of
beast.
each one, you will find a corrupted nexus, the source of the affliction. In the areas leading up to the nexus, you will notice that corruption spills out from slain enemies and amalgamates into powerful monsters.
Oh, we're gonna have to kill beyond bosses, aren't we?
Corrupted maps existed on the Atlas before,
Yep.
but we've done significant work
thought that
on
was beta
improving
for a
these
second.
monsters. We've also done a full pass on the modifiers on these maps to make them more interesting and more rewarding. Once you reach the Nexus, you'll have a new task: cleanse the source of corruption. When you defeat the last rare in those maps, they will spawn one of 3 terrifying bosses, amalgamations of corruption itself. After defeating that boss, Doriani will come and cleanse the corruption for good. As the remains of the boss are purged of corruption, it coalesces into raw crystallized power, which you can use to gain points for your Atlas passive skill tree. The upgrade system that allows you to add and enhance content in your maps. We didn't stop
yo, what's
there,
that?
though. When you complete a corrupted nexus, all of the remaining surrounding corrupted maps will become cleansed maps. Cleansed maps also have new monsters,
Into
new
the salt
boss.
mines.
and their own set of modifiers and rewards, including finding fracturing orbs
Bro,
by
I need
slaying
that.
cleansed enemies.
I need that orbital beam.
These orbs can be used in crafting on a rare item to cause
Yo,
one of its
fracturing
modifiers
orb.
to become fractured. A fractured modifier is one that cannot be modified by any means. You are
What
able to
the
freely modify
hell?
the item, ensuring the fractured modifier will never change. If you get the right item with the right mod, it can prove to be a very powerful crafting base indeed. You must now choose. Do you complete all the corrupted maps and then the Nexus? Or maybe you beeline to the Nexus, complete it, and do all the remaining maps cleansed.
No, of course you do
Both
the
have
cleansing.
rewards to
Fracturing's
entice
insane.
you and challenges to assess.
Now, let's have a talk about towers.
One thing
Talk
we've
to
had
me
a lot
about
of
towers,
feedback
Mark.
on is the
Hello?
busy work around running towers and managing your tablets. The first change we've made here is that we have reduced the number of towers drastically, so there are now 1/3 as many as before, but we've made them much more powerful. To start
That looked
with,
like you could use
tablets
3.
now inherently add twice as many mechanics, but that's not all. Running higher tier maps and towers now increases the number of mechanics applied by tablets. By
Oh.
tier 15, the bonus is double, allowing a single tablet to now add 4 times as many mechanics as before. So, we're running far fewer towers, dealing with fewer tablets, and affecting even more maps than before. But because there are fewer towers overlapping with each other, you won't get as many opportunities to stack different tablets. In order to solve this, we've made it so that each tower can consume up to 3 tablets at once.
What's that fourth socket
You
up there,
always
buddy?
get 1 slot on completing the tower, but if you can complete a tower with more mods on the waystone, you can unlock a 2nd or 3rd slot. Overall, this allows for even more juicing from towers, while drastically reducing the amount of busy work you have to do.
We're still missing information.
On top of that, towers are much more interesting maps because they can now spawn with all mechanics, including bosses.
Each tower map has a new boss. Let's take a look at a couple here.
The boss fight of the Alpine Ridge map has 2 powerful witches contesting for territory. One witch has an affinity for ice, the other fire. Who will win? Hopefully neither.
It's me.
The boss of the Sinking Spire map is a remnant of the Val that has been charged with lightning. It uses a full suite of lightning abilities. But be
Wait,
careful. If
it's
any
Guardian,
of them hit the
Fulgur,
surrounding
Blackjaw.
constructs, they will power up.
Another thing that we've seen a lot of feedback about is sustaining waystones. As we looked into it, we realized that the people who couldn't sustain waystones were dying a lot. A lot more than we had expected. And that made us realize
Right,
something.
that it's always the concern, isn't it?
During the campaign, the expectation is that you can die multiple times in order to learn how to overcome challenges. You are able to learn how the monsters behave, adapt to their skills, and eventually overcome them. But as soon as you get to the endgame, you are effectively no longer allowed to die if you want to sustain waystones. By the time you are getting towards the end of endgame, we want you to have to be careful not to die. But it certainly shouldn't be that we have such a sudden shift as you run your first maps.
Oh, okay. So it's gonna...
The first change we're
Get
making
lower
is
as
you
you
can
get
now
farther in.
respawn and return to a map if you die. Continuing from where you left off.
Oh, they don't reset. Sick.
When you start the endgame, you get up to 6 total attempts per map. As you add more modifiers to a waystone, the number of respawns goes down. This means that as you get to the point that you're running every waystone as a rare, you will have to be more careful. In parties, everyone gets to respawn that number of times. But
I don't
we
like
still
that it's
think
just
it's
one portal.
important that you can kill a boss in one go. In order to allow that to happen, we've made a change so that once you start the boss fight, it changes over to the same respawning system we use for pinnacle bosses. This means that the map owner can choose to respawn everyone at the same time. Another complaint we've seen a lot of is players not wanting to do the pinnacle content because of the experience penalty from dying. A change we've made here is that all pinnacle content now no longer grants experience, but also no longer removes experience on death either.
Interesting.
Dawn of the Hunt also brings the first batch of Twilight Order reliquary keys from the early access supporter packs.
Yeah, I think the map portal
These
changes are
keys
interesting.
contain
The one
items
thing I
selected
don't
by
like
our
is that
supporters.
it looked
They
like
can
you get
contain
one portal,
any
so you
unique
can
item
only
found
bring out
above
one
the
portal's
Exalted.
worth of loot.
If the selected item is a pinnacle boss drop, then only special keys dropped by this content will be able to provide these items. For example, Hand of Wisdom in action can only come from a key dropped by Zesht.
Oh,
We're also making a change that allows pinnacle boss uniques to drop at any difficulty. Rarer uniques will be rarer at lower difficulties, but still possible to find. This applies to the drop chances for the reliquary keys from this content as well. We spoke about towers and tablets earlier, but we have also added a
can
suite
confirm
of
that's
unique
how it is right now,
tablets.
but they're going to address it because they don't
Each
like
of
that
these
either.
adds
Okay, good.
crazy interactions to the maps influenced by it. For example, this unique tablet allows you to run any map in a tower's radius without requiring
Yeah.
connections.
What
which
is
can
it?
be quite
Thread of
useful
Hope?
for jumping gaps and traveling around your atlas.
Yo, so your atlas could be
And this
unbricked.
tablet causes all runic monsters spawn
Alright, sir,
during
good luck.
expedition encounters to
Thank
be
you for the
duplicated,
information.
and weakens all expedition monsters that emerge from the ground. The Atlas tree has also been expanded, and you can find many of the new mechanics there, and improvements to existing ones too.
Now,
Yo,
through
increased
this live
chance to be
stream, we have
greater.
mentioned quite a few new crafting options that we've added. New runes, corrupted essences, fractured mods, and jewelry crafting bases. But we did have just one more crafting system to talk about. Recombination.
The best parts of all this are when Mark
Expedition was
speaks.
the only in-game
Gotcha.
mechanic that was lacking a crafting system, so that needed to change. Recombination is a mechanic
Why
that
is
might
it
be
behind
familiar to some
Expedition?
players.
Fuck!
It allows you to merge 2 items together, hoping to get the best elements of each on a single new item.
Bro.
This new crafting bench will be unlocked as you complete your first expedition, and requires artifacts found during expeditions
Damn
to
it.
fuel it. the rarer the mods on the item you are combining, the more expensive the cost.
That wraps up all the major in-game changes we're talking
Lionheart.
about today.
It's like the monkey paw curled its finger as soon as he mentioned the recombiner.
Start blasting maps and obliterating monsters.
Bro.
There is one more thing we wanted to clarify before we move on, which is that all the content we've talked about today will be made available in the existing early access
gonna
leagues, so you can play your existing characters.
Ah,
However,
so we don't
there
have
will be
to.
new leagues made for those who wish to start in a fresh economy. It is recommended to start over and get the full new
Yeah, I'm definitely
experience
gonna be
in the dawn of the
restart.
Hunt leagues.
For all our existing early access players, we're really looking forward to joining you playing in this new update. For those who don't already have access and are interested in playing Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt, you are able to at any time purchase an early access supporter pack at www.pathofexile2.com.
No, they're nerfing.
Additionally, the Paladin and Penance supporter packs are now available to purchase in Path of Exile 2 and contain 6 microtransactions each and the full pack's face value in points. All the
Talk about
microtransactions
recombining
contained
changes
within these
early on.
packs
Okay.
are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way.
Yo, the row
Thank
races.
you so much for your ongoing support.
Yeah, they're using the PoE1
We're just about
rows.
to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. With release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. On
Will
release
do,
weekend,
Mark.
we expect to launch the new mystery box and many new microtransactions,
Sick.
including Path of Exile 2's first alternate skill effects.
Let's go.
Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking
Okay, I heard one thing that they said. Well, I heard two things that they said before I started the stream because I had the stream open. But in the Q&A, they said, one, heralds will no longer be able to trigger each other, which is like massive nerf. And for two, they said a lot of the patch notes are going to be nerfs, actually. But they're not releasing them until sometime next week. But it's just because there's so much like bonkers shit that they didn't really catch on to in the development process. And so they gotta like bring it back in line. But there is also 5 new classes, 100 new uniques, and 20 skills, and 100 support gems. So there's gonna be more. There's gonna be more busted stuff. Have no fear.
Looking forward to playing the Huntress, trying new builds, and exploring the new endgame next week. We'll begin the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
Super excited for this patch. I just want to see all the new stuff. I'm sad it didn't have Druid. I am more interested in the new towers than I thought I'd be. Also, what's up, Enterplace? When they said we're gonna have to kill all the rares in towers, and there's gonna be mechanics and stuff in towers, I was like, that's not the way to do that. But now that they're like quadrupling the amount of maps you can buff with 1 tablet, and then they're letting you use 3 tablets per map, and they're making the range like fuck huge. That's better than I expected. But no Druid, so I'm a little bummed. But Ritualist looks pretty sick. 3 rings? Ridiculous. Crazy. Bonkers. Hi, Ziggy.
Good morning, Exiles.
Oh, I forgot his.
The Q&A portion of today after
It's a whisper stream,
very
ASMR.
exciting reveal with lots in it, exceeding my expectations.
This is as loud as my PC sound
But
goes
on that
for stream.
note, we're joined here by Jonathan and Mark to talk about all that we've seen today and more in the future of Path of Exile 2. And you had an
I'm scared to
update
turn it up
on
for when they figure out the
Yes,
problem.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So we actually last night had a bit of a design session and realized that we weren't actually fully happy with the way that recombination worked. So we actually made quite a big change to it, which wasn't reflected in that video, obviously. Which is basically that we sort of wanted to give a bit more control to the player over how recombination works. And we also kind of weren't really
More
happy about
control
fact
to the player over
that
recombining.
combinations is something that like kind of matters a lot for really, really ultra in-game players. But it wasn't something that was really mattering a lot for like the people who effectively got access to the feature at the start. So we've actually changed it now so that the way it works is that you pick which mods you want on the each item from each item, and then it gives you a percentage chance of success based on the number you pick. So if you pick just like one from one and one from the other, then
Oh.
the chance is much higher. But if you pick if you pick 6 mods, it'll become practically impossible. So effectively, like the more you're wanting to design the item, the less of a chance of actually having success. So that means that if
In
you just
case you
wanna get,
can't
like, a
hear,
mod-
he said instead of the old recombining way where it just kind of picks shit, you get to pick the shit, and then it has a chance of success based on how many things you pick, and probably something to do with like the rarity of the mods and the tiers and stuff.
if you want to get an item with like, okay, these 2 mods that I found off the ground, that's relatively easy. If you want to get an item which has all of them, then very hard. So we think that's a much better design because it means you can kind of use the recombinators actually become something that you can use even from the first point you get them. But there's still this kind of end game, like for perfect stuff, you might still be able to do it with more. It is kind of balanced though, so that like if you pick literally all 6, then it's going to be like incredibly low to the point of like don't even try that. But like 4 mods might be a good thing to sort of be striving for, that kind of thing, and then exalt the other 2, that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
that's kind of
that's
the new
interesting
design of that.
because
So hopefully that'll be in by the time.
okay, so
0.0
audio
comes out.
looks like it's all right.
We've kind of got a plan for doing that. But I think it's a much better design than what we had before for recombinators.
If it's not there for O2O, it'll be
Yeah,
as
very
soon as
soon.
it can afterwards.
Very soon,
But yeah, spur of the moment, night before the live stream design sessions.
Yeah.
But
Been a few of those.
increased player agency and
fixing the
visibility
problem.
into the success result is just a win. And honestly, took way too long to get to the point of us actually going, "Oh, this is just straight up better to have observability into that and the freedom of choice." So.
Sure.
Yeah, the way recombinators work in Path of Exile 1 is like so arcane and backwards. Like I've read so many explanations of how to make something recombinate the way you want and like actually give it a good chance of success. And it's like you gotta have this number of mods on this item, and you gotta have this number of mods on this item, and one of them has to be the same on each one as a prefix. Like one of the prefixes has to be the same, but the suffixes have to be different. And then if you do that while the other one's magic and one's rare, like I don't even know if that's valid, but it's like really, really confusing and not something I ever really wanted to bother figuring out, despite how useful recombining is. So being able to just be like, hey, I want that and I want that, and then I have a 30% chance of success. I'll take that.
Felt like something that was both really high end in terms of the crafting that it was intended for, but also just even understanding it. This seems much more intuitive because
You just pick what you
selecting
want.
the mods you want.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So it does sound like it's a little bit of a nerf for the very high end of crafting, though. Like,
It might end up being, but I'm not like it sort of depends on how the numbers come out. Like because we only just designed this, we need to still work out like exactly how the numbers end up looking. But I mean, look, we have to make sure. Obviously, whenever we're designing any crafting system, we have to be really sure that we're not like screwing over finding stuff on the ground. So you have to sort of have that balance, and that's so that kind of informs everything we do with crafting usually.
One difference here, though, of course, is if the success chance fails, both
item's just
both
deleted,
items
yeah.
are destroyed as opposed to always keeping one.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So it's basically
I'll
a
take that
chance
trade.
for success.
Every
And
day.
if it fails, item's gone. So
Roughly, what do you think you try to pitch just choosing 2 mods at? Like,
it depends on what mods you're selecting, but I'm kind of thinking kind of like 35%-ish kind of thing for like 2 normal mods, that kind of thing.
them both
Like
to
for them
go
both,
over?
for them both. For if you pick 2,
Yeah.
and then but we'll
it
see.
kind of depends. Again,
It kind of depends. We'll see how we have to do
higher
some
tier
mathing.
mods are rarer, and
Yeah, exactly. So it sort of
it
depends on the
also
situation.
the other thing is it's going to now have a fixed cost, so it's not gonna
Yeah.
you know
And the idea is
dollar
like
based on
and the idea is like doing a single expedition should be enough to do a recombination. So you're going to be doing them like relatively often as you're doing expeditions.
so is the part of Expedition where you get to craft with the NPCs still a thing then? Now that you're adding this?
Yeah, I mean you've still got that whole mechanic, and like so it's competing for the artifacts.
Yeah.
Between recombination versus
Man.
buying things from that.
We're gonna have to do
So is there
expedition
some
all the time.
costs
I gotta
intended
get
for that then to make it more
in the
competitive?
reset. I gotta get the big bomb
that
as soon
definitely
as
needs some love
possible
in the
because I'm
future,
gonna
but
be
not at this time.
hating life
It seems like the systems can kind of go hand in hand, where one is giving you items that you can.
if I have to do bombs. I'll
combine.
like
It's also true. You can
track
the
bombs all
ingredients
over the
of one
place.
in the other, or the outcome of one as an ingredient in another.
Cool. We'll talk more about crafting a little bit later on for sure, because there was a lot announced there, which I'm quite excited about. Definitely exceeded my predictions for what you'd be adding in terms of crafting. But firstly, though, just to quick clarification on the league. So there's not going to be a wipe for
Okay.
the players joining us.
We watch Recombiners.
We're playing on a character you can still.
I don't
play
care
on
to
a
watch the
character.
rest of the Q&A. I'm just not a Q&A enjoyer.